Please patronize our sponsor, who supports the Guild and our mission to educate members and non-members to enjoy and enrich their woodworking skills and experiences. You Pick Hardwood Lumber.
Thank you guys for coming out tonight. I'm not the guy you normally see up here. Uh, Bob, our president, is out of the state for this month or this week, and I'm unable to make this month's meeting. I'm your vice president, Denny, and it's a pleasure to run the meeting for you guys. So, thank you. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, you may notice we have a little bit of a different crew over in the AV section tonight. We've been struggling finding volunteers to help us with that. Hal, the guy who normally runs it, has been having some medical stuff that he's got going on. So if anyone has any kind of availability for these meetings to just be, even maybe not every meeting, but on standby to come in and help out a little bit, it'd be great if anyone could volunteer for that. You can either email board@slwg.org or me directly at vicepresident@slwg.org and let us know. We'd really appreciate any help we could get for that. The classes for this month and the next, we don't have a lot. Tomorrow we have a Christmas toy build out at the shop. What? Bert, what's that Christmas toy on the calendar? Oh, a birdhouse build at the shop then. And then August, we also have, is August 7th also birdhouses? That's toys. Okay. So August 7th, we'll be back to building toys. And then August 6th, we have our shop safety class. And this month, we have our special field trip out to Mid-America Carpenters, the guy that came last month and talked to everyone, letting us come tour their facility there, see their equipment and operations that they do, and everyone's welcome to.
We had 2 big tents last year, so we need good coverage. This year, it's just the one day, so that's much better.
It'll just be Saturday.
It'll just be Saturday.
So that's the 5th?
Yes.
So that's just the 5th.
Saturday.
We'll update the slide for
Yep. And
next
we're
month's
looking
meeting.
for items that you make that we can sell. And if you wouldn't mind, put a suggested price on them. You can bring them to meetings and we'll take them if you get them done before September 5th. In fact, we need you to have them done before September 5th.
And do we need volunteers, Vicki, to help run the tent?
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
that's
the sign-up sheet.
That's the sign-up
Gotcha.
sheet that David's going to have. What else you want to say?
I forgot to print off the sign-up sheet this evening.
I bet Joe's got notebook
So
paper.
just come talk to me and I will write it down on a piece of paper. Okay?
Perfect. The 5th. So it's only on Saturday.
I have to double check exactly when it starts. I think it's like from 10 to 4, if I'm remembering correctly. And but we need to set up before that. So we usually start there like at 9. Yeah, 8:30 or 9. So there's like a session before, there's a session for tear down after, and then there are like they're usually Vicki, do you remember? Is it 2-hour sessions to work? 2-hour sessions to work the table. Yeah, you can stay longer. Yeah, you can. You don't have to just work 2 hours.
No, nobody kicks out free help.
Nope. There will be refreshments. Maybe cookies. 9 to 5. Thank you, Jerry.
Any other questions around the art fair? All right. Thank you, David. Thank you, Vicki.
You're welcome.
All right. If you haven't noticed already, it's that side. We have some silent auction items in the back. Try to take some time this evening if you're interested in that stuff, peruse it, figure it out with the person who listed it there and kind of negotiate any prices. And now, question and answer time.
I just wanted to mention, we also have a table in the back for buy, sell, swap.
So you're invited to bring in small items. You can bring in up to 6 items per meeting. It's a $5 fee. That's just to kind of regulate it a little bit, so we're not getting a bunch of stuff that belongs on the free table. So anything, there's some stuff back there tonight. If you have stuff you're not using and you haven't used, you want to pick up a few bucks or clean up the shop, bring it out here and try to get rid of it. I, for one, have sold about $100 worth of stuff. So it's stuff other people need. Thank you.
Any other questions? I don't think we've ever not had any.
So I just wanted to let everybody here know tonight that when you come next month, since you're here this month, don't look for your name in those boxes under the alphabetical order. You will be in a box that will have less people in it, so make it easier to find your name. So if you have any questions, just ask at that point, but it'll be easier just to find your name if you go to a box because out of 300 and something names that are in the box, we have like 50 show up every month. So I'm going to make it easier for everybody to find their name instead of digging through everything. There'll be just, a few names in each one of the alphabetical things. So,
do we have any new members or visitors here this evening?
Yes, I'm a new member, Russ Smith. This is my second meeting, and I'm just kind of getting started. My grandfather did a lot of woodworking, and now that I'm retired, so I'm open to any and all help that anybody can offer me. Thank you.
Welcome. All right, before we get into the Christmas in July, I guess we're going to do the show and tell. Do we have a list of people? Okay, I guess we'll start at the top with Alan Brown.
Mine's a story. A little things to show, but it's more of a story. Okay. I'm a member of the Toy Elves. We make toys every other Friday. Okay. And Vicky Berry over there, okay, came to me and said, "Hey, Alan, you turn pens. Can you make a needle box?" And I said, "What's needle box?" And she showed me hers. And she said, "I bought it and it's a little too short, needs a little more length to it." Okay. So I said, "Okay, I'll try to make it." Okay. Here's my first shot at it. It kind of looks good until you turn it and then it's all kilter, So it is a bad example, but it's a first effort. Okay. Then I tried making another one. I bought something for my lathe because I have a little pen lathe. And I thought I needed something to support the wood because it was wobbly. Okay. So I bought this round thing. Have you seen those round things that go around the lathe and have wheels that stick on the wood and turn? Okay. So I bought one of those and I made one. Okay. And showed Vicky, and it's nice. Okay. Okay. It holds the length needles and everything else. So I decided to build another one. And when I tried building this one, I said, let me do a Celtic cross. Do you guys know what a Celtic cross is on a pen? Okay. So that's what a Celtic cross looks like. I don't know where the cameras are, but that's what it looks like. Okay. So I tried to do it with credit cards or room keys. Okay. Okay. You cut a insert with your bandsaw, and the room key fits right in there. You just rough it up, put it in, works like a charm. That's what I thought. Okay. So I tried that. Okay. Put it on the lathe, pop, exploded. Okay. So I found out several things that you guys might want to know. One, room keys, some of them have a little film on the front. Okay. So if you're using that, peel that film off because you're gluing to a film that's not glued to the card. Okay. So peel that off. Second of all, room keys usually have a stripe on them. There's a magnetic stripe in there underneath. That's 2 thicknesses of plastic with a little magnetic thing in it. So when you try to glue the edges together, that magnetic thing weakens it. Okay. And it popped again. Okay. So, couldn't get it done. Okay. So I said, something's crazy. I went to YouTube and watched videos. Okay. So, with YouTube, I wound up with this. Okay. I don't know if it's Can you see that or not? Okay. No cameras? Okay. So it's okay. It's a much better one. It fits the I learned how to match the grains and everything, okay, on it. Okay, and it was like a third of the time to do this rather than those things. Okay. So it was much easier. So my story is don't use credit cards, okay, in there, or unless you can do something special to hold them together, okay. And watch YouTube.
I heard we were doing Christmas in July, and I got to thinking that there's two pretty neat holidays before Christmas shows up. And if you're into Halloween, a little something like this is easy for the kids to color, make, sets easy on a desk in somebody's office. And you can even make that a puzzle. This is all one piece, one by, but you can cut a little both of the pumpkins and the ghost and the bee on there in the puzzle pieces, and somebody can assemble them and paint them. So just a Halloween idea that I like. And then you got Thanksgiving coming up, and what more than a turkey? Number of little turkeys that you can make like this, easy for kids to color. Donated some of them over there on the toy table today. Good for hospitals, that type of thing. And you can do one that's a little more elaborate if you want to, a little more in the way of feathers, got a face on it, a cute little hat, uh, just things you can make out of scrap. Yep, they sure could. Scroll saw. And then I made some dinosaurs for a 2-year-old in his birthday party, and he took them out and banged them on the table and broke the legs off of one of them. And I thought, well, I got to up my game, and so I made some pickup trucks. And these are these are made out of recycled church pews and large wheels. Pretty heavy duty. I don't think he'll be able to break these up. At least, yeah. But well, that's somebody else's problem. And then here's another version of it with a dump bed on it. Dump beds are kind of interesting in that sometimes they're hard to make. This particular one's very easy to make because of where the pivot's at back here. And again, it's just 3 layers of 1x that's been glued up. And then the last thing, for those of you that are getting older and you have trouble with your eyes, and maybe I'm the last person in here to discover these little suckers, but for $9.95, you can buy an LED lamp. Got a cord on it, magnetic base, gooseneck, on-off switch. I epoxied a piece of metal onto my bandsaw and slapped one of these right down there where I can see the blade and the line on my material. Really helped out there. But I've got another work table where sometimes I end up working in my own shadow because of where the lights are placed. And if you go to Harbor Freight and buy one of these little things, which everybody probably has 1 or 2 at home, and you stick that thing on there, that's enough weight you can set it on a non-magnetic surface and put it wherever you want to, and it comes in very handy. But certainly you can get these things from Klingspor. You can get them from a place called Art Crafters for $9.95. I'm sure they're available other places. I just don't know where. Yeah. Okay.
Because the light on every bandsaw is pretty much junk. Very invaluable.
Well, mine's about 40 years old, and the lens has turned to yellow. So yeah. And even when it was new, they weren't very good. So
So Leo,
okay. How much? Pack of 2. All right.
Leo,
So-
what are they called?
Sewing machine lights.
So maybe I am the last person to discover these, but hey, what the hell? All right.
All righty. Good evening, fellow sawdust makers. My name's Eric Morris. Anytime I go in the shop, people ask you what you're building. I'm almost always building a box of some kind. So I also collect tools, old tools, member of the MWTCA, which is a Tool Collector Association. So the box's purpose is to house whatever new tool that I recently got. So I'll make specialty boxes to hold any of the stuff that I've collected up. But Wayne said something about the old crooks being made of the excess pieces from the church pews. Church pew stuff right here that I found in the blue barrel there at the shop. More church pew stuff. Thank you, Tom.
Use that up. Go, Eric.
Somebody turned my lid over. Okay. So this was I worked way too close to U Pickett Lumber. They have several different tubs upstairs of their cutoff material. So sometimes I'll buy a nice looking board, but it's got a split or something. So then you take that into the shop and you run it through the bandsaw and you cut the split out of there, glue it back together, and it's a nice board again. So a lot of that I've stacked up, and then it ends up getting used for some of this stuff. So this was a pair of Stanley compass planes that needed a home. So I built the little box to house the compass planes in there. And then I don't know if you can see it on the bottom. I put pegs in there to hold the bottom to the sides, and then otherwise these are glued corners. But yep, work excellent for these. I think this is maple. I think this is hackberry, red oak on the base, and you just put any kind of woods together. I think they all look nice together, you know. And then every box that I build, I try to get a little bit innovative. You try to do some kind of a different corner, some kind of a different lid. So this lid is captured by two grooves, one on either side, and then just the ends hold it from moving end to end. And you get a box that looks something like that. Thank you.
My name's Brent Ebel. I started. I got my grandpa's old hand plane about maybe December last year, and then that's what's fed the addiction with woodworking. And then joined up with you guys, I think like sometime in April or so. This is my project. I built this for my toddler, so it's just like a little toy chest. You pick it, lumber, piece of cherry. It's just dados, rabbits, like butt joints. First big project per se, and got some help with a couple of the guys at the shop. So thank you very much for that. And used a couple of machines to do it. Few things on the bandsaw, table saw, but a lot of it was I got hand saws and planes, and I don't know why I torture myself doing it though, but it's just more fascinating to me, like with how people used to do it, without like the planers and the machines and things like that. So learned a lot of things along the way. Obviously having sharp tools is critical. Not banging your thumbs on nails is also critical. And then having a toddler, always, checking out the progress of it, asking like, when's it going to be done? This is taking forever. It's also a fun project. So I'm hoping she likes it. Like I said, it's a good piece of cherry though, but don't get too jealous of it because this is going to be purple this coming up weekend because that's the color she chose. The only condition I have is that the inside remains wood, so I can at least say like it was a nice piece of wood. And that's my toy chest.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So my name's Joe Grayson. I'm not one of the normal guys here. So anyway, my little niche is boat building, and it's kind of a fusion of a bunch of different things. So my I have a niece that's getting married, and they got married last November, unexpectedly, actually. No issue, but all of a sudden she was married. So my sister and myself decided to make her a gift for it. They live in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. So I tried to think, well, I like building boats, so it became obvious that a whaling boat was probably the right thing to build for her. So this is a New Bedford whale boat that I made from a drawing. It's not from a kit. And the hull itself is made out of a number of different woods. I use different woods, like these things, to kind of paint with wood. So there's cherry, there's basswood, there's a little bit of paint, there's some mahogany, and also some a particularly good wood for boat building is actually boxwood. Very easy to carve. So anyway, I got that. That's the boat. My sister, she's 85. I had to get her to take her sewing machine out of mothballs, and I had her do the sail for me so that it becomes a joint project. So I've made a number of boats. Boats a lot more complicated than this, but having my sister's sail on it was something special. The other thing I never did was I never carved a ocean scene. So the ocean is made out of basswood that I used gouges. The guys in the carving club got bored to death by me talking about this crap. So and the case is walnut. Every time I make one of these cases, they come out a little bit better. I'm sure that's familiar to everybody. But the joinery that I landed up getting on these things made it very nice and solid compared to some of the other ones. So this isn't finished yet. I got a couple more weeks. I brought it here now in incomplete, whatever, because I got to get it in the mail in about 2 weeks. So the glass isn't in. The thing's going to have lights. All the rigging is not on there yet, but you can get the sense of what's going on. It's making these things. It's not for the faint of heart. It's this is a 6-month project, and if you're trying, the one other thing is instead of putting it on just a couple of stupid sticks or something, I landed up carving a whale. So the boat's actually sitting on top of a whale that's saying, no, not on this trip. You're not taking me this time. So, but all the oars and all that crap, that's yet to come. So there'll be a lot more complexity. So the other reason why I brought the thing is I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but I think I tentatively scheduled for November to do a little talk about this, about building these things, because it's when you look at something like this, I think clearly it looks complex, and this is a relatively simple one. But it's just like every one of these things. Each step is very doable, very repeatable, and the thing that makes the boat building a little bit different is you spend so much time thinking about how to build these stupid little things. You could build a regular boat because you actually build it to the plans that they build the boats out of. So in my mind, the mental work that you land up, going through lands up being good, and you also get used. There's always a new nautical term that I learned. So like in this case, there's the mast goes up, and there's this boom that goes up to the high point of the sail, and the line that holds that in place is called, why pick anything normal sounding? It's called a snotter. So So you always get some of the ancient sailing terminologies that make your interest. Oh, the other thing is this will have lights too. Like I said, it's not finished yet, but it's probably about 85% right now. Very good. Yeah. How do you ship it? Yeah, I crate. I've shipped them like this before. You gotta build a crate? Yeah, I have to build a crate. Thank you. Yeah, so what I'll do in the last one, I made a ridiculous cardboard box, and this was hilarious. I miscalculated how big it could be shipped, and it's a long story short. But if it had been 1 inch shorter, it would have shipped. It wasn't, so I had to redo the whole stupid thing. So in this case, I'll build what I'm going to do is I'll just get a piece of loon plywood or whatever it's called these days, and make a crate for the thing. And the corners I'll use expanding foam. I'll cover this with plastic, and then when it's in the box, I'll put some expanding foam in there to give 8 points of coverage on the thing. Thanks.
Did you like his work? Yeah. He's our November speaker. But I just want to let you know, come to the November meeting because Joe, this is one of the simpler projects, believe it or not. I seen him do a beautiful tugboat. It was gorgeous, and it's truly museum quality. And yeah, you can't even sell his stuff.
You can't emphasize it enough, though, that there's no task that's hard. It's just there's a whole lot of them, and you got to be planning it, in advance.
He's got a great eye for detail, from everything from planning it to color that goes into the water. I seen him carve all these waves. It was unbelievable, and just everything he does is beautiful. So I'm just plugging him for the November meeting. So thank you.
So.
Hi, I'm Jerry Baines. I thought I'd put a plug in for Woodcraft. If you get their mailings and all, it's one of their classes, and date night where you and your sweetie do called a drunken cutting board plan. My wife signed us up for it. It's $140, but then my wife's happy. So, and it was 2 hours, and my wife was in there with the bandsaw, and she was so proud of herself. In fact, she's showing all her friends this, and you end up making 2 of them just because they're alternating pieces. So we glued them together to make it a little bit more heavy. But this was a 2-hour project, other than the sanding and finishing. So if you want to do something and impress your wife, you could do a date night. So there's Woodcraft, and since they support us a lot of the times, I thought I'd plug them.
All right, thank you, everybody. That was great. Real quick before we move on too much more, I also want to remind everyone, back on that middle table, there are sheets back there to grab for the tool drive for Sweet Home. If you don't know what tools we're looking for, it's a great thing if you could donate some. Everybody'd be very grateful.
Can I interject a moment? There's also something on that table. Are we selling tools for the gentleman?
How are we doing that?
There's some pictures on the table of some tools. Are we selling those or are we we're not selling them, but are we
just providing his information so that people?
I don't see any contact information on that back there. So
yeah, that's the silent auction, right? You're talking about the silent auction. Yeah, there's a jointer back there and a table saw. They're vintage 1940s, 1950s.
Yeah.
It's a silent auction. There's 2 sheets back there. The winning bidder will get the details and the address to pick them up. They're located on Taft Avenue in South St. Louis. And the starting bid is $40 for these units. And that comes with all of the blades, the accoutrements, and all you need to do is win and pick it up on Saturday.
Thanks. There was someone who was interested in it and they weren't sure what to do.
Joe?
So thank you.
Last year,
in November, we had the sawdust party. Some comments about, hey, we missed out on having a meeting in November. Party was nice. So then we thought about, well, maybe we should think about moving it to December. We know that a lot of people start planning and filling their calendar in December with parties. So we decided to make it earlier, and you guys are used to Thursdays. So it's going to be the second Thursday in December, December 10th. I don't think we have an event set up yet. I'm pretty sure we don't, but I'll work with Todd on getting it set up like we did last year. For those who didn't notice and they showed up with show and tell items, things like that, no, you just bring you and ideally a guest, your spouse, or not, but or come along, and it will be on this floor. Last year was up one floor. It'll be on this floor. So just an early pitch. Also, we had lots of prizes last year that were available as we went through the night. We had awards that people could pick prizes. If you got gifts that you'd like to donate, ideally, you made them. They can be wood, or they can be for the ladies, which could be wood, I know, but could also, we had a quilt donated. We had other items that were both for male or female kind of oriented. So be thinking about that. I'll be pitching that every month.
I just want to mention there is white oak sticks out in the truck at the lower entrance here in the back of the truck. It makes good wood for these the small tables. These two tables up front here, those are examples of the small tables that we make. Those were donated by Vicky and John, and we appreciate them. Vicky's up to 4, and that's John's, I think John's first one. So
She says 5.
congratulations. Oh, you did 5? Okay. Well, I'll check the books. I'll check the books. Any rate, the wood's out there, and please help yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Tom, were there any kits out there? Or?
Sorry. I'm sorry. The kits are gone. The kits are gone. Kits were gone. Yeah. Okay. We will be making more kits at some point.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. So it's Christmas time. If you were one of the people who brought something up to the table for the Christmas in July ideas, jump up and let's start showing and telling.
Sant, and I make a lot of Christmas ornaments. I've got 4 different ones that I brought in tonight. Like if you've got little girls especially into fairies or the whimsical garden things like we've got out at Faust Park. I've got one that's a Highland cow. It's made with a scroll saw. You cut the top layer, and the bottom layer was stained with walnut stain, and then glued together. And then I've got 2 that I did some chip carving. I also do a lot of scroll sawing, so I made this ornament. I found a pattern and it was really small, so I kind of blew it up, and I thought, that looks kind of neat. So I started looking at it, and I went, that'd be kind of neat if I'd fill it with resin. So I just went ahead and I did that, and it turned out really neat. And when it's sitting on a tree and the lights are behind it, it really glows pretty neat. That was really easy to do. So, and then I went, well, if I could do that. So then I got my CNC machine out and wanted to make a cutting board. And so I put a spoon and a fork on it, something really easy, and filled it with epoxy, and was like, ha! My wife goes, you ain't giving that away. It's just some really easy, simple things to do, and it doesn't take long, and they're really neat. At least I like them.
Hello, I'm Bob Kestgar. I got a story for you to tell here. About 10 years ago, okay, I'm a math and computer science kind of guy. I don't know if there's any other techno geeks around. I got to screwing around with the idea of making something using coins. Okay. So I made, I'm sorry, I decided to try to make something using coins. And I made a small frame. The idea being that each of the coins was made the year I was born. And then I could rearrange the coins to how many years old I am. The year I made this, I was 52. And if you add it up, a $50, a quarter, 2 dimes, a nickel, and 4 cents, you can do anything from 1 to 104 years old. I was being real optimistic there, okay? I put this together as a goof off project. This is what I call a prototype, just monkey around. You can rearrange them, and the coins are glued in there. And when you're not using that coin, you flip it on the other side, and the back is all cherry. And then you just center it, and you can re-put them all in there. So this was an experiment I had, and I thought, that's kind of fun. Did you ever drill a hole to put coins in? Coins don't match up with regular size holes, okay? So I went on the internet, like any of us would do, and found that yes, they do make coin size Forstner drill bits. So I ordered them. I got an email about 2 weeks later that said, well, those have been back ordered. Would you like to keep the order going or do you want to cancel the order? Oh, just send them to me when you get them. Literally a year later, I got these in the mail. Okay. So I ordered them. I didn't even remember the project I had ordered them for at the time that I ordered them. So I got them. And then I said to myself, well, you got drill bits for coin sizes. You got to use them somewhere, right? So from then on out, I decided that whenever I made a project that was an easy one, I was going to inlay a coin in the back with the year. Okay. Now it looks really kind of cool and it works real nice, kind of dates the project in a somewhat different way. This is one of the ones I wanted to show for possibly something to make. I know this is the Christmas in July, but I like to think of it as bulk gifting for friends any time of the year because a lot of these projects I make and I give to friends not at holiday times. Okay, so I want you to think about that. Be the guy who gives something to your friends when they're not expecting it. I trust me, they'll love it. Okay. So I made a batch of these little clipboards. They fit a 4x6 notepad or a quarter sheet of paper left over from work that you cut in half and recycle. So they're very environmentally friendly. I inlaid a penny in the back to date it. And you will also find who you make these for may be particular. The reason being that for everybody under about 40 that I've given to has no idea why you would bother to write anything on paper anyway. But the older people love it for notes and lists and things, okay? My daughter said, Dad, you have a notepad on your phone. You don't need to write things down. Okay, that takes the fun out of it. So I was making those for a project for a group of people one time, and I basically glued these up as a laminated board and then resawed them, planed them out. And as what happened was the last board wasn't a full over a half-inch thickness. On these, I did it with screws to hold the clip in there. If it's not a half-inch thick, your screw goes all the way through. Can't have that. Well, I'm not going to waste a perfectly good board. So rather than use a wood screw, I used a machine screw and I tapped 2 nickels because I'm going to use those darn drill bits if it kills me. By the way, that they are doing away with pennies, so I'm going to have a spare drill bit if anybody needs one. Another project that I found was kind of fun was 3D puzzles. They look great when you put them on people's desks or anywhere. They're fun to leave around the house. And when you have nieces and nephews or visiting people come around, you let them take it apart and then you kind of just give them a hard time that they can't put it back together. I have a nephew who's a PhD, and I love to mess with him by giving him these puzzles when he comes to my house. Because PhD or not, puzzles take some time and thought to put back together. This one is made from maple, and I made it with templates. This one is made with maple and walnut to kind of offset the dowels are walnut. The pieces go together fairly easily. It's 1 by 1 and then 1/2 inch dowel. I have the plan up here on how to make it and even the solution. I'm being kind. I keep these in a book because I usually remember how to do them, but a lot of other people don't, and I have to send them a copy of the solution. So you want to keep that together. I did a batch of those. I think I did 24, and that's a lot after a while. So consider how many people you're doing these for when you're making a batch. I have 5 sisters, a wife, a daughter, lots of nieces. They all cook to some extent. So one year I decided I was going to make a small cutting board for the different households, and I made this. My mother thought this was the best. My mother lives by herself. She cuts up her little bitty tomato to put on her little salad, and this was perfect. The other family people went, well, that's a really nice cutting board, Bob, but there's not enough real estate. You cut a tomato and it don't fit on there. So the next year, I made the slightly bigger version, and they thought this was much better. For 2 to 3 people, this is the perfect size. So to make these, again, they were glued up pieces, lots of scrap bin wood being used here. I have this bad habit of whenever I make stuff, I make templates because it makes it so much easier to just lay them out really quick. If you're going to make more than 2 of anything, make templates. So that was for the little one. Then I made the bigger one, and that was in 2022. I guess I did that one. And then I decided to even go bigger, but I never actually made the bigger sizes yet. So when somebody complains they don't have enough real estate, I'll make that one.
Sure.
Sir?
Those templates, router templates, or just for drawing it on?
I use those just for drawing. So just for laying out the woodwork. This guy, I use router templates. Okay. My wife is, I don't know how many people do this. I haven't encountered too many, but my wife's family, all of them, their names start with D. All the kids, all 7 kids, their names start with D. Okay. So I thought that helps explain part of this. My wife said, I'd like a hand mirror. Can you make a hand mirror? I said, well, sure, I guess I can make a hand mirror. So I made a template and a shape for a hand mirror out of a piece of scrap lumber. This is pretty rough, pretty crude, but it was a test to see if I could get the shape and the size right. I was going to order mirrors on the internet and found out they're kind of expensive when you want to order mirrors. So I went to the dollar store and they have little plastic mirrors you can buy for $1. I bought them, I threw away the plastic and kept the mirror. Okay, so for $1 you can do these. I found that you can route out where the mirror is by just using a template with your plunge router and a bearing bit on there, and it comes out pretty darn good, pretty close. Okay. But I thought, well, that's a mirror and it works. And then I experimented around with the idea of what else could I put on the mirror. And I did an inlay with some exotic woods to make it look like a flower. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. But I've always wanted to try another technique. I don't have CNC machines. There's not a computer in my shop. But I found a cool thing called a basically you put your router on upside down on a router table and you put a arm over the top and it's called a pin router. Has anybody experimented with this? Okay. So basically is what I did was I took I went on my computer. Okay, I did go upstairs for this, and I printed a giant D. My wife's name is Dot. Okay. I took the D and I taped it onto some Baltic birch plywood, and I routed it. I sawed it out on my scroll saw. I took the pieces and I stuck them to a second piece so that I actually have a template now. Now you'd look at me and say, "You're crazy, Bob. That's backwards." But that's exactly what you want. Is what you then do is you take that D and you put it on the back of your mirror like such. And when you put this on the pin and move it around on the router table, the pin follows that pattern on the top and routes out the reverse on the bottom. Okay, this is how you would have done it before CNC. And you basically end up with the D. Okay, so I did this one out of mahogany and I sealed it with a poly wipe on poly. And this was the second one. And the reason I did two was Dot has two sisters whose names start with D as well. I thought that might be a possibility. But to be really honest with you all, the reason I did two was I was sure I was going to goof one up bad. And I wanted to have one in the end. So I actually ended up with two, luckily, but that's how it works. So a little bit of a mess in there. And then when you get done with the routing for the mirror and routing for the pin router, I put this template on there and I use the bearing bit on the router bit to, to route the outside shape to make sure that makes everything perfectly centered the way you wanted it to be. So I didn't actually cut that out with a scroll saw. I actually routed the outside, then routed clean, and it's good to go. So, like
another family of mine, we exchange gifts at New Year's, and we're always coming up with something, like just chopsticks or something like that, small cutting boards. And this last New Year's, I got on the jag of making coasters, and I was looking into design and shape and things like that. And apparently, somewhere in the Old Testament, I don't know where, it's written that coasters are 4 inches, and you make them in batches of 4. So, and beyond that, they're just small little art pieces. So anything circular you could make, a disco ball, the sun, a Pokemon ball, anything like that. And so I just started out with simple things like, just spalted wood, spalted maple, things like that. Sort of Chinese figures cut into wood, things like that. And then I started getting little scraps of cutting boards I made that were just little cutoffs, pieces that were useless. And you can just make those into little bits and pieces. You can cut off, little bits of wood and put a little piece of purple heart in the middle, make sort of a purple sunrise. And for your baseball fans, it's pretty easy to cut out a little baseball pattern, fill it in with a little epoxy of, various colors of any sort. And that makes them fairly happy. Have a friend who does kintsugi, where you break open pottery and you rejoin it back together with gold resin, sort of a Japanese art. So she was very into this. And then for the musicians, you can make piano keys, which takes a little bit of patience, but you can make it out of black and white wood. You can make it out of purple heart and yellow heart. But if you're careful about fitting your joints, it works out fairly well. Other things where you're just making an arc, taking some little bits of laminate, putting it between the two, makes a nice design. And even just sort of, random designs, if you feel like using a lot of angles or making an iris. And then if you, let's see, I used to have a violin up here. Yeah, so the violin I might have left at home. But yeah, you can use dead strings from a violin or a guitar and, make false frets, cut little channels for the strings. It's a little aggravating to get the strings flat, to get the grooves just so, and then use a little bit of epoxy to just make it a smooth surface, and then flatten it all out. And so for the musicians, they love things like this. But, you do them in batches of 4. You can use up your batches of little bits of cutting boards or patterns that you put together that you didn't know what to do with the scraps, and they love them. And then holders are fairly easy to make. So just a few dowels, a few pieces like that, and they make nice gifts. So thank you.
What kind of finish did you use on those?
Using armor seal, and by the time I got to about the 5th or 6th coat, I sort of thought, I don't think this is working. It was like too thin for just for something like this, and so I ended up using Varathane floor varnish, and it worked pretty well. So just a coat or two of Varathane floor varnish. Sometimes I'd use armor seal just to bring out the beauty of the wood, and then put Varathane over it, and that seemed to work very well. I use the water base.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah, so the water base doesn't yellow. Sometimes depending on the wood, you're going for yellowing, and so I own the oil base also. But in this case, I was just trying to keep the true color of the wood, so I did go for the water base in that case. Yeah, true. Any other questions? Thanks, guys.
Anyway, I'm John Ferreira, and I just was making a bunch of these little bird's mouth vases. See how they kind of look like a bird with their mouth open? And that's just a piece of sycamore, and it's just turned out of the branch. So you have that. And those will go pretty quick, and the sycamore dries real quick too. If you turn it to about 1/4 of an inch, about a week it'll be dry, and you can sand them. And then I took a class in texturing to add some color. And here's a piece I made in class, and it's just a little saber-tooth burr, round burr, and they get different sizes of burrs, and you just tap it and cut little divots in it, and we paint it with, well, take a torch and burn off all the fuzzies. Then we paint it with black chalk paint, and then we dry brush the color in, so you can add whatever color you want. And for these longer textures, you just kind of hit it and then drag the bit down, and you can make any texture you want. And they got little feet on them. Here's the piece that has been textured and the chalk paint's been put on. Then the color would go on in a dry brushing technique. And the feet, if I won't turn off the base, and I can just lay out how many feet I want and just carve that out with the round burr, and you can put the feet on there. And on some pieces, like this one here, there was actually a check through here. So I textured it and painted it, and so it makes a nice little vase. And so I'll be making a bunch of these for the craft fair, and that's basically it. I don't seal the inside, so no. Like on vases like these, I got test tubes I put in them for people that want to put water or cut flowers in them.
Are the textures round so that it stays uniform?
No, you kind of go random. On this one, the question was, when I do the textures, do I lay them out? And for the most part, I really don't. I kind of drew this one here. You have the round dots, and then you have the long ones. I kind of drew out where I wanted the round texture and texture that, and then proceed to doing the longer texture. Yeah. And then the paint, you just, do the dry brushing and kind of add the color where you want it. Any other questions? What do you think?
working. I can do some of this stuff, but I wanted to give a meaningful gift to my family one time. Those who have been in the guild, I might have shown you this about 5 years ago. If you're not weren't here then, but I took a hunk of log, okay, and at Christmas time, I walked out. I've got 4 kids, okay, and I cut the log in 5 pieces, and I walked out and I said, "This is our family tree." Okay. So this represents us as a family. Okay. It's strong, it's solid. Okay. As a family. Okay. And then when I opened it up, okay, each individual piece had their picture on it. Okay. Or a picture of the whole family here. Okay. So I just cut little grooves in the bottom and put some, small scraps of wood in there so it stands up. Okay. And I did this about 8 years ago. And whenever I go to any of my kids' houses, they still have it up. Okay. So that works so well. I also did it with my sister. Okay. And you can use any kind of wood. Okay. Any kind of log. As a variation of that, I also do some leather work. So I had leather laying around. So it's a variation of that. You can spread it out. Okay. I just put some leather hinges on it, and you can put pictures around it. Okay. Actually, I have it the wrong way. It should go that way, so the pictures are out. Okay. So it's simple. It's easy. I just put a little, poly or some tung oil or something on there to finish it off. Okay. And for the pictures, on this one, I just cut little triangles of leather and just nailed it in so it holds the picture. You can change out the picture that way. Okay. That's it.
Hi, Tom Tierney. These are kind of a collection from various years of Christmas presents. I kind of went through and typically we'll give stuff to the kids, one each, and kind of when I'm at their house, I kind of see what they have out, what they're using, and what I never see again. So this is the stuff that I see sometimes, but it's all this is pretty much turning, and I did, you can platters. This is about a 12-inch platter, which is all I have capacity for on my lathe, and small dishes. This is mainly scraps that had defects and couldn't really use the board, but you can certainly use the scraps. And this was a piece of cherry wood. So they're small. They're accessories. They leave them out, use them as candy dishes, or when we have parties and stuff. These 2 bowls were small bowls. I find the girls like them, the guys like them. Brushes, makeup, whatever they want to off their dresser they want to put in here. These were 2 pieces of, I think, 6 1/4-inch cherry glued back to back and then run on the lathe. And so you get the depth, and, they really make nice, attractive bowls that they can leave out. 2 of them, a little different style. Bob, Bob had his small cutting board idea. I beat you, Bob. This is smaller. This is really made for the kids, their bars. If they've got a bar, or for the iced tea to cut the lemons and the limes, and it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it serves that purpose. Small lemons, small limes, and they really like these. Actually, I had this one back to re-oil because it was getting pretty dry. This is little box made out of scrap cherry. This is a cocktail napkin holder or a paper coaster holder for their bar areas, and it's made by. I didn't bring the rest of it, but I made a series of these, and I think I showed these a few years ago. Different slats. The diameter the width of the slat. The number of slats is the angle that you cut. I didn't bring the other piece, but typically I'll cut these at probably 10 inches or 12 inches long slats, and then tape them up. You guys have probably seen this. You tape them together before you glue them. And at that point, I'll run them across the table saw and cut them to the length that I want. And then do the final glue up and use either tape or clamps, pipe clamps or whatever to, to hold it and glue it up. You can put a bottom either in the groove around here or a dado that you cut around here. Again, when it's taped together, you run it through the table saw, or you can put a rabbet around here with a bit and drop it in. But these are pencil cups, stirring utensils if you're making drinks, cocktail holder. Kids use them, grandkids use them, for all kinds of crayon holders and stuff. I mean, it's a good, you can scale up or down, plate holders, and you can make a lot of different things using that same process. The other thing, Christmas presents that were good, and I see them all the time, are pepper mills. And you've got, this style, kind of the traditional one. And then you've got this style, which is, this is a cherry sleeve that fits over a metal. And, oops, comes, yeah. At any rate, the glue wore off on that one. And it just, that, and you got the pepper. We keep this at the kitchen table. It doesn't take up as much room. And you still get the ground pepper. These are available at Rockler, or I don't know if Woodcraft has them or not. They do? Yeah. So it's a nice, easy project. Well, it's a good project for the lathe. And that's about all. So thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Oh, yeah. Pepper mills? You use a Forstner bit? Yeah. And this is, I'm sorry, this is a solid piece, so you keep your top.
And the kits come with instructions to tell you what size bit to use for their kit. And I will say, I do a lot of pepper mills, and it's very valuable to have a Forstner bit extension. So that because your Forstner bit's only going to go down so far, and it's not going to go that whole length. A lot of guys flip it around and go from the other side. It's hard to make those meet up in the middle. I bought an extension off like Amazon for $20. Way easier.
Yeah, I haven't bought the extension, but you're using a good hardwood, and it comes really, really close. I'm sorry. Oh, what do you use to bore the hole that holds the peppercorns? I'm sorry. I've got an extra extension. I'll bring you next month. Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for that. That was great. Some really good gift ideas there. I think that's it. Did we have any other questions or any other business anybody wanted to bring up? Dave?
I have produced the sign-up sheet. Anyone who wants to sign up, I have a sign-up sheet. Thank you.
Did you draw it?
For the art fair. The sign-up sheet for the art fair, I'm sorry. Art fair, September 5th, Saturday. While the art fair runs 2 days, we are only operating on Saturday. Yes, sir. Here's your microphone.
I'm Bob Baird. I run the toy program for the kids at the hospitals and the like. And a while ago, some of the board members and Wayne and I got together and we were talking about ideas. And one was maybe to teach a class for those who might be interested in making toys who haven't done that kind of thing before. And I just kind of wanted to get an unofficial idea of who would be interested in a class like that. 1, 2, 3. So yes, okay, we have enough to have a class. That's what I wanted to find out. Thank you.
And would we be making that a free class? Yeah.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing the same thing for tables.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I hate to ask that question. How many people would be interested in taking a table class? One, two.
Got a few.
Yeah, we've got enough for. We'll get a class scheduled.
That's enough to make a class worth.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in search of a chainsaw. Okay, I don't want to go buy a new one because I don't want to know. I'm not sure how far I want to go with this. So I'm looking for a 24 to a 36 inch. I bought Alaskan mill, so I need the saw now to do it with. If you know of anybody that's got an estate sale,
do you want a power head that needs service, that needs taken to a shop to be fixed? But I've got a still power head that's been sitting on a shelf. I haven't taken it in for years, but I've been meaning to. You can just have it.
Okay, I'll get with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you missed out. I just sold.
I'm way older.
I just sold an Alaska mill with a 36-inch bar and a 120cc saw on it.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago. You just missed it.
That's the other thing too. You need the upper CCs.
It's a good still.
To work it. Okay.
I don't know if the guild has ever thought of this, but there's sometimes you need a tool, but you only need it once. Okay, and you don't want to buy the damn thing. Okay, so have we ever considered, like, not renting, but hey, I've got this. Do you need it? Okay, you can borrow mine if you want it. Okay, making a list of that type of stuff.
I don't think we have, that I don't know about in the past, but I will say that I know that there is already a service like online where you can go and search your neighborhood for a specific tool, and people have it there that they'll loan out or rent out relatively cheap. I've recently borrowed a domino joiner off there because nobody's got domino joiner money.
Anybody who is making a router table and needs a template to cut their router lift insert to go into their table, I have made one because I wasn't going to pay the $20 for the Jessam template. So I have one that anyone is welcome to use if you have a need.
I also turn pens, and every time you buy a pen kit, it comes with instructions. Okay, and it comes with most of the time it comes with the not bearings,
bushings.
Bushings. There you go. The bushings that you need to cut it. Okay, so I have quite a selection. Okay, so if someone, like I just made a kit that I got at an estate sale. I had to do it all by hand and figure it out myself, kind of thing. So if anyone needs to borrow any of that, let me know.
Your name is Alan Brown, ladies and gentlemen, Alan Brown.
That's great. Anybody else have anything?
Put a plug in next month's speaker.
You need a microphone before you can talk.
Some people say they can hear me, but not on the recording. Right. Next month's speaker is going to be Jay Knopfsinger. He's going to be talking about string inlays. Don't miss it. It's going to be a great one.
All right. Well, that concludes our meeting. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.